We set goals at the beginning of the year. We've got one goal in mind, and that's to win a world championship.
Really good team, great quarterback, great defense. It'll be a challenge.
You're in 4K and you like it. But Scott loves it. I'm scared. It's playoff football. There's no tomorrow, folks.
Welcome back to another edition of The House That Allen Built. This is episode 34. I'm Scott Kinmartin, and today I've got someone new with me, Big Cat, over here. We went to high school together. We even played football together. And we're going to talk about our hometown Buffalo Bills. He came prepared. Who's the favorite in this game, Big Cat?
Oh, the Buffalo Bills opened at 3.5-point favorites.
And somehow they're 5.5-point favorites now. We were watching, was it ESPN yesterday, and they said 62% chance. It just keeps going up. I'm like, wait, I like being doubted. The Buffalo Bills are now favorites to win because the offensive line of the Bengals are banged up.
But covered 11 straight games minus this last one.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
It is, but let's go over your prediction now. It's the game Sunday, 3 p.m. local time, or I should say Eastern. Local for me would be noon. You know, normally I don't like in Buffalo, you wake up, the game's at 1 o'clock, right? So
Absolutely.
You can sit down and chill, 10 a.m. and you're fine. For me, the games are 10 a.m. The Bills play at 10 a.m. most of the time. Now,
Sunday
with prime
football
time,
is 1 o'clock, sir.
I know, it's 10 a.m. here. So if I have a drink before noon with a shot of Fireball for Fireball, I feel like an alcoholic.
Well, that's the Christian in you.
Yeah. Last matchup was labeled as Game of the Year, and it didn't happen. It became a no contest because of the Damar Hamlin injury. Obviously, that was a severe, unique situation, and that sucked. Where were you for that game?
I was sitting in my recliner, and that's one of the first times I've ever cried watching TV.
It was
First time
it was
ever.
hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard.
I'm a Young and the Restless fan. Believe it or not.
I brought my friend Nathan, who's a Seattle Seahawks fan, right? He had
Okay.
come to the Bills Backers Bar for the first time. Greg was there too. And when I went to Booger, Booger McFarland, what a name. Who would want that name? Even if it's a nickname, like, come on. I like Big Cat way more.
Big Cat's nice. Saber's even more.
Saber's a sweet name, but that's his
elegant.
actual name, yeah. But, watching that, it was like dead silence in the bar. And I remember sharing it with the episode. It was like you could hear a pin drop. We went from like, crap. Hamlin had a rough game. He got burned a couple plays ago. Then Taron Johnson, the play before, got injured. We weren't sure if he had a broken neck or something. It ended up
that
being
didn't look
a
good.
mild. It did not.
No.
He was face down and not moving much. Next play, you forgot all about Taron Johnson, and you're thinking, this dude's fighting for his life. And you could tell when you saw the terror on Josh Allen's face.
Well, it went from Game of the Year to no game at all, and now you're worrying about someone's lifeline. Like this.
And 24 million people are glued into their TV to find out what's wrong with this guy and why it took 9 minutes of CPR to revive him. And now he's walking back in the facilities. And he may be there this weekend.
I predict him running out of the tunnel with the team.
Yeah, and the legend of the game for the Bills is Eric Moulds, former wide receiver, number 80. And I think for sure Hamlin will be there. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's been in the facility every day this week so far. So that's kind of exciting to see.
There will be threes once again throughout that whole stadium. It's such a positive thing that that Kim gets put on the back burner.
Yeah.
And
John Murphy.
Well, things come in three, they say. So hopefully they're all good outcomes.
Okay, you're saying 3. We forgot about Dawson Knox's brother.
Yes.
The death there. The winter storms, there were 2 of them.
Yes.
So I guess you could do those in groups of 3. And then you had the Hamlin. There's so much. The injuries. Von Miller being out. Hyde being out and finally coming back. And then the Hamlin thing. Oh, there's 3. There's 3 for injuries.
And in my lifetime, the Bills might be playing another third home game, not at Ralph Wilson or New Era Field or Highmark Stadium.
Stupid names.
3
It'll be a new
games.
stadium. Yeah.
No, when we win this week,
if Jacksonville
be in
beats the
Atlanta.
Chiefs, we will host them in Buffalo, and that Atlanta trip will be all for naught.
But it'll be our 3rd straight home game.
Yes, it
A
would.
lot of threes.
What year was that when we took that photo? 19 years of 17-year playoff drought.
Yes.
19 years from hosting at home, and we're like, we're going to be sitting in these chairs. It was like the canopy. It was in the middle of snow. We were building a
snowstorm
snowman
in January. Sitting outside of then Ralph Wilson Stadium, pretending to be at a home Bills playoff game.
Yeah, we sat down in folding chairs or like foldable chairs, and then build a snowman, threw snowballs at each other, acted like it was a football, diving into the man. And who
had
knew?
A sign with a Lombardi trophy saying, "This is our year."
It was a time of hope, like it was for 20 years, and then finally 2017 they backed into the playoffs after that epic
Andy Dalton.
Tyler Boyd Yep,
Yeah.
Andy Dalton and Tyler Boyd against the Bengals. And now we've done a lot for each other. And actually, that brings me full circle back to the Damar Hamlin injury. I feel like there's a lot of respect among these two franchises between
Yes.
the donations to the Andy Dalton Foundation and then him reciprocating. And then Zach, is that his name, right? The head coach? Zach Taylor.
Taylor.
He joined McDermott with the referees and decided that it was best to go separate into the locker room and see if they could gather themselves and figure this out.
But the admiration on both sides are for the two franchises.
Yes.
But the two fan bases couldn't
Yeah.
be further apart of how that game ended.
Oh, Cincinnati's pissed off that they got gypped of a home game in the potential number one seed because they would have never gotten the number one seed even though they beat the Bengals and they were playing the Bills and beating them at the time. It was still the first quarter.
First quarter.
And there's a lot of games this season where the Bills were losing in the first quarter or the slow first drive. I mean, they were losing a couple of those games that ended up being total domination in the second half. And that's what we need this time around. And I feel like with it being in Buffalo, it is a bit unfair. The Bengals did get the short end of the stick, but they were never going to get that number one seed since the Bills never got a chance. If the Bills beat the Bengals, they would have been the number one seed because they already beat the Chiefs as well and had a better record by one game and still do.
It's a no-win situation for the NFL, for the fans, for the teams, but I think it was the right decision.
True, but the only thing that sucks is the Chiefs. Let's say hypothetically the Bills lose and the Bengals play the Chiefs. Is that at a neutral site? No, it's only if the Bills were included, which sucks for them. That's the only way the Bengals get screwed.
But the Bengals never had a chance at a bye or home field throughout. That was the difference.
Only because the Chiefs did win and the Bills didn't have that chance to get there. If the Chiefs had won, they would have had a tiebreaker with the Chiefs, but the Chiefs never lost. So you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Where the Bills could have because they had that one game lead. Good. You're right. All right, we worked it out.
All right, let's go right back to this game.
streaks.
We didn't get Greg's prediction.
Greg predicted 34-27 Bills.
That's a pretty fine score.
It is. I mean, the over-under is 48.
Correct?
And at 5.5 point favorites, that leaves the implied score at like 26-22.
Yeah.
Bills.
Yeah.
I'm predicting 31-28 Bills.
I like that. I like to hear that.
So that's 59. Greg thinks 61. Damn, those are high scoring. And we thought that about the Miami game.
Yeah.
And then, it was high scoring, but it was certainly not the differential we wanted. 3-point game.
I'm going to be more conservative because I watched the NFL last weekend. I know what's going to happen. 24-23, last second field goal.
Okay.
Write it up, chalk it up.
So
We're
the
going
Bills
to Atlanta.
So you're saying the Bills are down 23-21.
Correct.
Tyler Bass kicks a game-winning field goal,
Yes,
and they are headed to Atlanta.
absolutely. Josh
Okay.
is taking them down the field.
Who is in the Buffalo Bills' way? If the Bills lose this season in the playoffs, what will be the reason?
Josh Allen. 4-1 though, but he's 4-1, folks, when he has 3 turnovers.
That's unreal. And we found out that the one loss was against Miami Dolphins, right?
No.
Wait. Oh, it was the Vikings. It was the game that I was at. It was the game that I was at, man.
Well, it's a good one to forget.
Seriously, the turnover in the end zone when I've got my 1-year-old son and 7-year-old daughter sitting there, and then Jefferson catches that ball, the
Oh, it's a
contested
great
catch, and I'm just like,
Sloppy defense.
I said, let's
Great
go.
catch.
I said, let's go. They went into overtime. I don't leave games early. I'm not that person. I knew in my heart, I'm like, we just gave up the game. That was literally the game. All we had to do was get out of the end zone because it was a nice punt or kick or whatever ended up happening. I tried to forget it.
You just got to remember as a Bills fan, Josh is used to one goal line mistake a year. It happened last year and it happened this year.
Oh, dude, his rookie year, he would be 9-1 against the Dolphins. But remember that Charles Clay drop in the end zone?
Yeah.
Last play?
Yeah.
End zone. I mean, it wasn't an interception, but he's thrown 5 of those this year.
Josh
in the
could
end
take QB sneak out of the end zone. We win against Minnesota.
That's true.
And 4 turnovers don't hurt him.
He has these boneheaded. He's one of the most cerebral players in the league. His score, whatever, I forget what it's called, the Wonderlic score was through the roof. I mean, he's brilliant. But he has these boneheaded plays where you're like, who the hell did you throw to? And I think when they're talking about inaccuracies and how, like, in college he was only in the 50s, and he's that outlier who's in the 60s now, he's still going to make those plays where he could have been 70s, like Drew Brees or something, or Aaron Rodgers, with very low turnovers.
4-1 with 3+ turnovers.
Now, is that like just an anomaly, or do you believe that regardless of turnovers, Allen will will themselves to victory.
No, that's just his skill set. He's determined to win,
Yeah.
whatever it takes.
Yeah, that's the difference between the regular season and playoffs. The risk is heightened. It's win or go home. It's not win and we'll see it or lose and we'll see what we can do for next week's game and correct our mistakes. No, this is all or nothing, and there's 3 more games in the way of that trophy.
I just don't think Allen and Diggs want to lose. I just don't see them losing in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seeing Diggs stand up there and watch that celebration a couple years
that
ago,
broke my heart.
and Allen doing it last year, I just don't see Josh losing.
No,
But he'll
hope
fix.
you're right.
I think he's going to fix the turnovers this week. It's going to be a much tighter game. Kansas City didn't play that well the last 2 weeks.
These teams are similar in many ways. When it comes to a young quarterback, they're both 26. They both had 35 touchdowns in the air.
Yep.
They're both mobile.
Yes.
Burrow has 5 touchdowns on the ground, and Allen has 7. Even though
They're just not highlight reel touchdowns.
no,
But there's still 6 points.
Burrow's not jumping over people or through people. He's just sneaking it in for a touchdown. He has 200 yards rushing versus Allen's almost 800.
Yeah, it's
So-
a shame. It's a shame Allen didn't make the Olympics in the hurdles. I really thought he had a chance.
Seriously,
really
unreal. We did have Marquise Goodwin, who was a hurdler, right, or a long jumper.
He was.
He didn't play quarterback though, and he's about 5'0". So,
Yes.
yeah. As far as streaks go, the Bills are on an 8-game win streak, but someone who's doing better than them, the Bengals with 9. The
Yes.
only team that has a better win streak, the Niners.
San Francisco with 11, folks.
And that includes Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, with 6 consecutive victories for them.
An elite defense and good coaching will do that.
The number 1 overall defense for sure. And Kyle Shanahan is a hell of a coach. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
Now, since the Bills' streak started in Week 11, they've averaged 29.3 points. And that's the 3rd best during that span. Now, in the red zone, they've scored on 71% of their trips, which is 4th best. The Bengals have also finished 3rd in points scored since their streak started in Week 9, and that's with an average of 29. So 29 and 29.3, these guys are so similar. There are some differences when you're comparing the offense and defense when you get to the nitty-gritty. Now, points scored. Buffalo, number 2,
Yes.
28.4. Cincinnati, number 7, 26 points. We're talking 2.5 points. That's a field goal per game.
That's what this game's coming down to.
According to you, it's
Coming down to a field goal, folks.
It is. And total yards, Bills number 2, Cincinnati number 8. So again, they're both top 10. 398 for yards for the Bills and 361 for Cincinnati. That's 3 first downs. And yards rushing, Bills 7th, and surprisingly, Cincinnati's 29th. That's not because they don't have an elite running back. Joe Mixon's great.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
But they don't use him a lot when you've got Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, right?
They got an air raid.
Yes, for sure. They've got 2 receivers that went over 1,000 yards. That's what we need to be looking out for. And I think with Trey White finally, running on all cylinders and he's got his confidence back, he really did well against Waddle and Hill last week.
Yeah, well, he bounced back after getting torched.
He really did. Oh, my God.
What a game.
That Monday night game against the Bengals, he was the one who got scored on. And I'm going, oh, great. He's not ready yet. But I feel like the last 2 weeks, mentally, he's prepared himself for this moment.
I don't think we could take too much out of last week's game against Miami.
No. It's a divisional rival. It's the 3rd time you play. Just like we can't take anything from the Baltimore game because the Bengals almost lost that game.
They should have lost. They
lost.
should have been down 14 points with 9 minutes left.
And I would have much rather have seen whoever we would have rearranged with, probably the Jaguars, because then Baltimore would have gone to Kansas City.
Correct.
Damn, that would have been a good matchup. But Huntley is never going to get past Mahomes, I don't think.
Man, the AFC has some good quarterbacks.
Seriously, all 8 playoff teams are under 30 years old.
Starting quarterbacks, absolutely.
Yeah. Lawrence and Purdy, 23. Jalen Hurts, 24. Daniel Jones, 25. Burrow and Allen, 26. Mahomes, 27. Dak
at
Prescott
29.
at a wee old 29. All 8 quarterbacks.
How about them Cowboys?
The league's in good hands when you've got that, you know? I mean, think about all the older quarterbacks. I mean, they're scrambling. Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back MVP. What did that get him this year? Nothing.
An early exit home.
Tom
He's
Brady.
on the golf course.
Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowl championships. What did that get him? One and done.
One and
And
done.
now he had a divorce. It got him a divorce.
You're heartless.
I am, but hey, you choose football your 23rd year in or whatever over a beautiful wife who makes more money than you and your kids who you're not going to see all the time now because you want to keep playing football. I could see him playing next year still.
They're competitors. You don't know what it's like to give up something
I do.
You've
I
done
played
since
in
you were
college,
little.
but then you pick up another thing. I pick up Josh Allen cards. I pick up collecting other stuff.
He can only sell so many pair of Uggs. He's a competitor.
That's a good point. All right, touche. Now, total yards, the Bills are obviously a very good offense.
Yes.
But there is somebody on that offensive coaching staff that you want some bones to pick with.
I strongly feel next year Dorsey will not be our offensive coordinator.
Now, what I enjoyed was the continuity. I love Daboll's play calling and his creativity. He's much more like Andy Reid, where they do fun things. And he gets the best out of his talent, like he's doing with Daniel Jones. And obviously, when you've got Saquon Barkley, use him. And they did. And they're in the second round of the playoffs. Dorsey, being a first-year offensive coordinator, you got to cut him some slack.
No, I disagree. The first 4 games of the year, he coached like Dorsey.
Yeah.
And we were blowing people out of the water. I understand the league catches on. They learn how to
make
play on
adjustments.
defense.
Yeah.
Adjustments are inevitable. But I feel we got bamboozled with this guy. He is amateur at every level.
What would Stephen A. Smith say?
It's a damn travesty that he's our coach. That's what he'd say.
Now, passing yards, Dable is all about that air raid. Not forcing Allen to take what the defense is giving him. And even when there's a nice check down to a Beasley or a Davis, he wants to go deep. And Davis is usually the one deep as well. But I do think
that's not the problem with Dorsey.
Okay.
It's not that...
I was going to say, don't blame Dorsey for Allen's decisions when he...
No. Dorsey puts Josh in those positions to make that. It's either a bomb, there's no running out of the pocket like Minnesota where there's crossers to Jefferson.
Yeah.
There's nothing like Tennessee in college where they're spread all the way to the hashes. There's nothing innovative about his offense.
Greg's been predicting a flea flicker.
Yeah.
And some sort of imagination.
What about a screen?
Oh, what?
What about a screen?
What? We don't do that, man.
No.
I don't get it, though.
You have Cook as a running back now,
He's doing
which
pretty
looks like
solid.
he might be a bona fide star.
Yeah.
He's definitely
So
the
Singletary's
Bills.
gone, right?
No,
it's his contract year.
I understand, but some players take hometown cuts. I get that. He wants to be on a winner. But
when you've got Cook breathing down your throat.
If Singletary thinks he's not going to be the starter,
Gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But-
I agree. And I think Greg feels the same way. He's been pounding the table for Singletary all season because he does average 4+ yards a carry. But
Motor's phenomenal.
I love Motor too. Cook is that stud. I feel like he runs a little taller and he's a little leaner than his brother. But I feel like when he hits that hole, he hits it with speed, not just a little shiftiness, but he's boom. Like he hesitates like Le'Veon Bell, and then once he's through, he's going.
It's elite level speed.
Yes.
Elite. That is game changing. When he hits the hole, it's 12, 15 yards.
Yep.
Every single time, but he only gets 7 carries.
But Singletary's not getting much more. Greg has joked that his nickname is Single Carry. Devin Single Carry. Because he'll get 5 yards, and then as soon as he gets tackled for a loss, or, he's had 2 fumbles this year. And Greg's like, oh, maybe he's turnover prone. I'm like, dude, he's had 2 in like 150 carries. Like, relax.
I just don't want to see either of them leave. 1-2 combos are hard to come by this year.
I know.
They almost had a 100-100 game.
But would you rather them just pick up a cheaper free agent that...
Yeah.
Or draft another Cook?
No.
But not in the second round. They did it 3 years in a row. Third round.
Moss, 3rd round, he's gone. Singletary,
What
3rd
if they
round,
gave
he's
Hines
going to
more?
be gone.
What if Hines didn't do all of the special team stuff and he was more... Well, he still could. But he could be more of the 90s Kenneth Davis, where he's that 1-2 punch with Thurman Thomas, In this case, Cook.
I haven't seen enough from him.
Yeah, well, they don't use him enough. Yeah. I mean, we say all that, but our rushing yards per game is still number 7. We average 140. But Josh Allen. A lot of people will say that, but when they actually ran, they almost had 2 100-yard rushers in the same game. They were a couple yards short. And literally, if Dorsey looked at the freaking stats, he could be like, all right, give him 1 more carry. Literally, he was 1 yard shy.
No, instead he's breaking tablets.
Oh, that's true. Man, since that Miami game, week 3, I think it was the Heat because he really wanted to start 3-0, and he's a perfectionist, and he was the winningest quarterback in NCAA history.
Yeah.
They stopped showing him on the big screen because he's up top so he can get the aerial view. But Josh Allen joked in the preseason that it was because of all his cursing and tantrums. Maybe that's why. But no, he's simmered down. I think I give him a little more credit than you do, but I'm not in love with the dude. I think that Joe Brady, his quarterback's coach, is right there to step in line if he were to leave, the same way that when Dable got hired, Dorsey stepped in his shoes.
I would be all for that.
Yeah.
I just don't think when you have a Ferrari with low mileage on it, You don't want to waste it with a bad coach.
Okay, so we'll go back to the comparison. Passing
Yes.
yards, we know that Burrow is number 5, and Josh Allen's number 7 as far as passing yards per game. That
Yes.
includes sacks, which is why their numbers both drop, because it's saying that our passing yards are 258 to Cincinnati's 265. Those numbers, that includes the Swiss cheese offensive line for the Bengals and our own, I guess. Rushing yards, like we just said, Joe Mixon is a very good running back. They just don't use him the way that they should. Maybe their offensive coordinator should get canned.
7
I
sacks
actually think Zach Taylor makes those calls. Yeah, 7 sacks.
last week.
Yep. Yeah, the Bills get sacked a lot, but so do the Bengals. Do you remember when Burrow tore his ACL a couple of years ago? They actually upgraded offensive linemen, and the guys that were replaced by a rookie and by La'el Collins are now having to step in and play again. So they have playoff experience, which got them to a Super Bowl, but they clearly didn't win. So they're not good.
Well, they got sacked 9 times in the Super Bowl. The whole reason they lost.
There you go.
So the offensive line this week could be the secret key.
And I think that's why we're 5.5-point favorites. I do. They obviously need to step up. Rousseau and the other guys on the outside, Basham and Epinesa. I do want to see a lot more from them.
Well, they have to.
They
Since
absolutely
Von
have to.
Miller left, the Bills are dead last in the league at win percentage on their ends.
And what's crazy is overall the defense is still 13th in sacks with 40. And the Bengals only have 30. And I love Sam Hubbard, the guy that returned the 98-yard touchdown and won them that game. I think that we have to be nervous because those 30, that's misleading. I think those guys are much better than that, and our offensive line has been shaky. We can't see someone losing, especially Tim Settle. I meant Roger Saffold when I said Tim Settle. I meant Roger Saffold. Man, he's been getting blown up. He's one of the worst PFF grading left guards in the league. And I'm like, damn, no wonder why. Everyone's talking about Josh Allen regressing. How about we get an offensive line? And he's got a 45.2 PFF grade. Holy crap, as a left guard. That is awful. And our
72
right guard,
out of 77.
And our right guard, Ryan Bates, hasn't been much better. Even Spencer Brown, who I really like, has been banged up and had not so good of a season when he is in there. I want to see him step it up.
See, I disagree. When
I love Spencer
When
Brown.
you're that tall, it's
6'8". That mother trucker's big.
It makes up for a lot of deficiencies.
It does. Now compare the defense. Points against, they're both top 5 again.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bills number 2, Cincinnati number 5. So the Bills have allowed 18 points a game. Cincinnati's allowed 20. So I guess with your prediction's a lot closer then. Yeah. Okay. Maybe you looked at these stats a little closer than I thought. Now total yards against, Bills number 6, and Bengals are 16th. So,
Which shocks me on both of this.
yeah,
The Bills and Bengals put up points. That means their defense is on the field more times than not, and they're still holding them down.
but if you're looking at time of possession here, Bills are 18th and Cincinnati's number 2. He's holding on to the ball 2 minutes longer, so he's able to let the defense rest.
Well, maybe that's
and
why
milk the clock.
That's why he takes more sacks. He's not making mistakes. He's not throwing interceptions.
The clock's running,
Yeah.
whereas incomplete passes stop the clock. Yeah, that's true. So the rest of the defense, rushing yards against and passing yards against, we're 15 in passing against and 5 in rushing against. Cincinnati's 23 in passing against. So that means we should be able to light them up. They're sneaky good. The reason why they're in the playoffs and have the record they do is because these numbers really are relevant in the playoffs. I think they just need to have a good game plan and find those weaknesses, but this isn't going to determine everything.
No, it's just a benchmark and a measuring stick of tendencies. That's all it says.
But let's get into fourth quarter tendencies this year. These are the stats that kind of will blow your mind. This is where Joe Burrow separates himself from a lot of these other guys, and they call him Joe Cool for a reason. In the fourth quarter, through the 2022 regular season, Josh Allen is 58% for completion percentage with 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Okay? 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. How's Joe Burrow doing?
The complete opposite.
70%.
11 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions.
And out of those 4 interceptions, probably all 4 of those from Allen are in the red zone. It's just bizarre. First 4 years, you throw 2 red zone interceptions, and then you throw 5 in one season? It's crazy.
There's a lot of stats that worried me. That leads me to the Dorsey conversation. How do you score in 18 straight opening possession drives and then this year struggle on the first drive of every series?
Well, I do think the balls bounce in a funny way, just like the Vikings win those one-score games. It is kind of a freaky thing that the Vikings were able to win all 11 games that are one-score games. And then in the playoffs, like I said, when it matters most, they're going to choke, and sure enough, they did. And I like Cousins. I know he's boring. But, yeah, it's nice to have Jefferson and Delvin Cook and all these other guys. Adam Thielen, who's probably going to go elsewhere because he's been overlooked.
Well, they need Diggs to win a playoff game.
They do. The Minneapolis Miracle.
But we got him. Sorry, folks.
Oh, God. I mean, it might come down to a final minute play. It might not be Bass. What if it was another
So when you're
Miracle?
talking fourth quarter, what quarterback would you rather have?
In the playoffs, Allen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, with that being said, the playoff comparison between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, Allen, 7 games, Burrow 5, because Allen was drafted in 2018, has had a couple playoff games more. I know Burrow has the Super Bowl. That's the difference between these two. But in 7 games, we're going to go off percentage rather than numbers because that's not fair to Burrow. 64.5% for Josh Allen, almost 300 yards per game in the air, 295.7, 7.8 yards per attempt. And then 17 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So playoff Allen, fourth quarter Allen in the playoffs, I'll take him. 56 yards on the ground per game and 1 rushing touchdown. Now Burrow has 4.5% higher completion percentage, 69%. Nice, 69. 263 yards per game, 7.6 yards per attempt. So we're talking 0.2 yards per attempt, less than Allen. Not much. 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So he does have 1 less interception, but 11 less touchdowns. He's only averaging 8 yards a game on the ground, but he does have a rushing touchdown and a Super Bowl. So when you're going to compare, I will take Josh Allen 10 out of 10 times.
I'd take him 10 out of 10.
The only difference is last year Burrow was able to get past Mahomes, and we were not. And I think he's learned a lot, and third time's a charm.
I really do believe whoever wins this game is going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They've already beaten Kansas City, each of these teams.
They have. You're right.
And it
Again,
almost
regular
looks-
season Chiefs versus playoffs, you got to give the benefit to Andy Reid, who has a ridiculous after the bye record of like 28-5 after the bye.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So that doesn't affect us this week, and he won't have a bye after this week when they face the Bills, hopefully.
Yes.
And that's including regular season. But every year when he gets a first-round bye, those count. And when his team's rested, they're going to come prepared. Good thing that they got to get beat up on by the Jaguars. And even if they win, there will be some banged-up injuries and whatnot. They can win that game. We will see them next week. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Please? Please? I hope so.
There is no please. It's just going to happen, folks.
Oh,
It's going to happen.
So the Bills, have Allen and Singletary and Cook and Diggs and Davis. And then their other guys, Shakir and Beasley and Brown. They're nice. We have Knox. They have Hurst. I want to say Hurts, but that's Jalen Hurts. Hayden Hurst, quarterback. Burrow versus Allen. Mixon and Samaje Perine versus Singletary and Cook. I think those are pretty even. More so than the paper would say with them having the 29th rushing.
But here's where it's uneven.
They catch.
Their
they catch
receivers
screens.
versus our receivers.
Oh, my God. Well, they're the best trio in the league. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Chase. They're the best. But if Trey White is truly 100% now, if Dane Jackson comes off the injury report, at least gets a full practice in at some point, and we've got Kaiir Elam doing what he did last week with an interception and being sticky on them and getting annoying on them, we need that. If we have that defense playing, the only player that can beat the Bills is Josh Allen. Like you said.
But even when he tries to beat himself, he still wins.
Allen with 17 playoff touchdowns, he only needs 3 more to set a record for the least amount of games for 20.
That'd be 8 games, right?
Yeah, 8 games, and Mahomes and Breeze and Dan Marino did it in 9 games, where they had 20 touchdowns in 9 playoff games. He could do it in 8. But like I said, Chase and Higgins both had over 1,000 yards. We know that they're the biggest threats. Chase is ranked 6th overall in playoff yards since 2020. So he's got 452 yards, and then Higgins is 8th with 346. So playoff receiving yards brings me to the point of Davis. Gabe Davis in the playoffs last year obviously had a 201-yard game against the Chiefs with 4 touchdowns. Because his rookie year was 2020, but he did play January 9th, 2021. He had 4 for 4 for 85 yards against Indianapolis. You remember that game? The next 2 games in that season, we played the AFC Divisional game against Baltimore and won. He was 0 for 4. And then the AFC Championship game against KC, we lost 38-24. He was 0 for 3. Again, still a rookie. He wasn't that wide receiver 2 that, if Diggs is covered, we're going to Davis, right? And then we go to last year. 2 for 3, 41 yards and a touchdown against New England. He's starting to pick up. Then the next game, he blew up for the 201 and 4. This year, 6 of 9, 113 yards and a touchdown. So playoff Gabe Davis is still here. Everyone who thought, oh, he's dropping all these passes, he's ready. He's focused. You saw that interview this week where he's sweating to death. You saw that Gabe Davis was on the jugs for an extra half an hour, and his mom sent him a letter to be humble and hungry and remember your upbringing and be blessed that you're where you're at. And with Von Miller, what did he do this week?
Brought the Super Bowl trophy out of his closet for this game. He knew they needed the inspiration, just like he did last year in L.A.
And they
He's
won.
doing the same thing with Buffalo, and it's already showing dividends.
For sure. I mean, that's extra motivation when you can actually
absolutely.
see a trophy there, even if it's a replica. It's a trophy from a guy who's won 2 Super Bowls from 2 different teams, and he's trying to set a record and being the only player in NFL history to win 3 with 3 teams. Now, we did talk about it off camera, whether he does get credit or not if the Bills win a Super Bowl this year since he can't play, and he would. It's not like baseball like you were talking.
Correct.
And even practice squad guys get a ring. But he would be a Super Bowl champion, just like LaShawn McCoy went to the Chiefs and the Bucs and got ones without even having to do anything. Just playing on the practice squad or getting a handful of carries will get you a ring. And I think Von Miller will not be satisfied with that. Obviously, we signed him long-term, so he'll be back fresh next year.
At 34?
Yeah, 34, 35. I know.
Okay.
I know we signed him to, what, 6 year, $120 million, so that's through age 39, 40. It's a 3-year contract. And if he can play out second and third year and we can go to more Super Bowls, a Super Bowl under Allen. We need to start with a Super Bowl.
No, not get 2 Super Bowls.
Win
a Super Bowl.
Win. So it'll be the 5th time's the charm.
Yes.
First one since the 90s.
What I enjoy about this year's Gabe Davis is he doesn't have to be a number 2. Dawson Knox has emerged as an elite threat in the red zone.
Yep.
And that gives Davis the...
He's a good blocker. He's kind of like a poor man's Kelsey. I mean, he really could be that security blanket for Allen if he needs him in the playoffs. 5 games in a row scoring a touchdown?
That's impressive.
That's great. I mean, you don't have to have all the flashy yards. Just ask Kelsey. Yes, you can have 140 yards and be the cheat code. You can also just be that guy in the red zone. Rather than throwing a pick or fumbling it, you can just go to your tight end.
Kelsey had 3 touchdowns and only 29 total
Isn't
yards.
that nuts? That's so. Wasn't it 4 or was it 3? Yeah, it might have been 3.
It might have been 4.
Yeah. Kelsey's he's stupid good. I mean, it's 9 consecutive seasons with 1,000+ yards as a tight end. We're gonna see him, but hopefully we have an answer. The last thing I want to say about Davis, he came from my alma mater, UCF, 4th rounder. He's still only 23 years old, and he has 26 touchdowns in 3 seasons on 138 catches. That's good.
Wow, that stat blows my mind. Holy cow. I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's 23.
Yes, 23.
Okay.
23.
Wow.
Their offensive line is banged up. Obviously, they're without La'el Collins from a torn ACL. Jonah Williams, who dislocated his kneecap. Again, he's questionable. Center Ben Brown has bicep issues. Of course, he's got to snap the ball and then fight off defenders. And then Alex Kappa, who had an ankle injury. He's banged up. And these guys that are filling in are the guys that started last year. But like you said, 9 sacks in the Super Bowl. Hopefully in the divisional round, we get to them 9 times.
Well, that has to be the key.
It has to be why we're 5.5-point favorites now.
We're not just bringing 4. We don't have that defense
anymore. But Burrow
anymore.
is good. I know, but Burrow is good against pressure. So if you can do it with just 4, awesome. But Milano, maybe they do what they did last week.
He's great with pressure with zone. He is not great with pressure and man-to-man.
But he just relies on men getting burned. Does Trey White truly have his steps back, or is he going to be burned by that one step, all that matters?
Poyer has to be on the side with
Chase. This is possibly his last home game. He made a video this week that Reggie Bush's sister, Rachel Bush, who's married to Poyer, said, "Can't believe my hubby is going to be a free agent and may go elsewhere." That's their way of trying to help with the negotiation and value. Poyer has earned it. I mean, obviously he took a gamble this year, playing out his contract, even knowing it's a contract year, and he's 31.
Why not just give Poyer and Hyde the same nice contract for 4 more years and keep
Hyde is under contract for 1 more year, but they should. You're
equal
right.
them. Just keep them together.
Yep.
Keep the fantastic 2 that keeps our defense safe.
And then draft so you have somebody, if they do miss a step or do have a neck injury or do have a concussion or cardiac arrest or whatever.
Let's not even get into the offseason. That's not worth it.
Okay, I mean, I could go into all the replacements. They drafted young guys that have also been injured or just not doing as much as they need for protection without their big guy, Lyell. I won't go into mind-numbing stats about the season, but we know Edmonds led the team in tackles, just like Milano was number 2. They're linebackers. They should. That's what I played. I loved it. You got to rely on that front 7, really, front 5, whoever's up there, front 4. And then you got to find your hole. You got to blitz. You got to be in coverage. And I love them in coverage. You got Edmonds, who's 6'5", 6'6", with 7-foot reach arms, and Milano, who's actually been really good on rushing. Like I mentioned, he had 2 sacks in the last game against Miami. He had 3.5 during the regular season. And I feel like if they keep doing that kind of pressure, you said to blitz Burrow, and I said, I don't know, blitz to 4. Get some pressure. I don't care if it takes 8. Do a cover 0 and do it. I think we need to just get the Burrow, and having that front line on the Bengals so banged up. It's got to be the answer. It's got to be why we win. Cincinnati's got a linebacker in Logan Wilson. Shocker there, right? Another linebacker that leads in tackles. And then their backup has 99 tackles, just like Milano. The guys that I want to talk about on their defense, Jesse Bates has 4 interceptions. Von Bell has 4 interceptions. Eli Apple, I can't believe he's still playing. He's only been in the league since 2016, but I feel like he's been playing for 15 years.
Well, it's
and
because he's on a new team every 2 years.
I had 49 tackles and 8 pass defenses, but Sam Hubbard, I'll say it again and again and again. That dude is a stud. Sam Hubbard is a defensive end who has 60 tackles. That's pretty impressive. Normally, either he's just really good at covering the outside and pushing them back inside, or he's just good at getting them. 6.5 sacks isn't fantastic, but he's the guy that did have that 98-yard touchdown.
6.5 sacks is phenomenal if you have 60 tackles.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, Greg Rousseau has 8 sacks. And as far as tackles, 37 tackles. He has almost double. Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a big difference.
That is a big difference. Damn. That's enough about the breakdown between these two teams. Does anything else stand out?
No. I think they're too evenly matched, and that's the problem.
But I said last year, if the Bills get past the Chiefs, they will beat the Bengals, they will go to the Super Bowl, and they will walk through the Rams.
I think that holds true for this year.
I hope so. Now, they don't have Hughes. They lost Hughes, gained Miller, and then Miller got hurt. They've got to rely on those other young guys. There's a reason why we went defensive end 3 years in a row.
Well, Lawson's back on the team, and he had some stellar games after Miller went down.
I think
we just need Oliver, Lawson, and Rousseau, all of them to
Daquan Jones
to play the game that we need them to play.
100%.
The game they can play.
Yep.
They're going to play.
This is going to be the game of the year.
Yes.
24-23 Bard Murder.
Yes.
I know our prediction. Greg and I usually go a little high. I know we're homers, but you're being more realistic here.
Oh, absolutely. I'm scared.
It's
actually playoff football. There's no tomorrow, folks.
Nope. And their matchups last week, like we mentioned, with the Bills playing Miami really close and the Bengals playing Baltimore close, those don't matter. It's a week by week, any given Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. I think that Trey Hendricks is good. He's the one that Hendrickson, sorry. He's got 8 sacks. So when I say Hubbard's really good, Hendrickson's on the other side, and you got to worry about him as well. And then you know how I say, and also some of these guys on TV will say Taron Johnson's the best slot corner in the league.
Okay.
I do believe that. But Mike Hilton, their slot corner, he's right up there as well. I think it's 1 and 2. You can go either one, just like Allen Mahomes. I think Hilton is very good. He's considered one of the best slot corners in the league. Okay, I said I was done talking about this game. Let's get into other news. It was breaking news, that the Bills are going to play a home game in London. I'm glad they're going to London, but it sucks that one of the home games is going to be in London.
But we've won 2 games in Detroit for home games. and we'll just have to do it again next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one game was against the Lions. That wasn't considered a home game. But the other one against the Browns was, because we had to push out.
Both games that got moved to Detroit in the last 5 years.
Okay, you're right. We're
2-0. We'll be 3-0 for another not home field home game.
But we sucked in Toronto. And that was our home field. Rogers Center was BS.
I don't count Canadian home games.
I don't count only the UK. You'll count London games. Yeah. You know what's crazy is that stadium is actually what the Bills based their new stadium for 2026 off of.
Wembley?
The name of the stadium is different for the football stadium. I'll have to
stand corrected.
Briefly, I wanted to talk about who our opponents might be for that London game. And it would be the Giants, the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Buccaneers, the Jets, or the Dolphins.
I'm going to go with Dallas.
Okay.
Because every team, every 5 years, is supposed to play a game abroad. It's in the contracts, and that would double up for $1. That would get Dallas's obligation out of the way, and it'd be a primetime game at 9 a.m.
I like
Who
it.
wouldn't want to watch that? Or 6 a.m. Pacific time.
And I've watched those games this year. The 6 a.m. games. It's weird getting up that early. 10 was already weird enough, but then you
Yeah.
got the 6 a.m., 6:30, like German and London
And then
games.
trying to find it on Yahoo.
I know. You have to have the app or stream it to your phone. I have the Apple TV stuff, and I shoot it to it, but man, it's annoying. So the Bills' offensive line, they added Greg Manns back to the practice squad. We had him. I think we cut him, brought him back. They had to put Alec Anderson on IR, so he's a guy that we drafted, I think, last year, late round pick. And as we mentioned, this could be Jordan Poyer's last home game. Do you think they'll re-sign him? They better. Right?
They have to re-sign
They have
him.
to. At 31, is he really going to, if they let him go and check the market out? Maybe, because players are playing longer into their careers. But
31 is not 31 of the 90s.
when you lose a step, you lose a step. But Poyer is still in tip-top shape. I think he's elite athletically.
Yeah.
And he's very smart. So I think they could get another 3 or 4 good years off of him.
Cerebral, I would take him over anybody.
Okay, so at 31, and Hyde being under contract 1 more year, would you give Hyde a 3-year extension and Poyer a 4-year extension and let them end it at 35?
Yeah, I think they want to stay together.
Yeah, that would be
Why would
amazing.
you not? Why would you not?
Okay.
They have
I'm-
Elam for 3 more, guaranteed. 4 if
Yep.
they pick up the option.
Yep.
White's
White's been renewed.
That would be all 4.
Yep, White's been renewed. Yep.
All 4 of your cover guys are coming back.
And that doesn't even include Christian Benford, who started before Kyer Elam did at the beginning of the year, and then he got hurt. And they could even draft another corner. They probably will. They still need depth.
Yes.
And they will need a safety no matter what, because Dean Marlowe is an older safety. He was good filling. He had been there. He was actually the longest tenured player under McDermott, and then came back. They traded for him for that reason, because they needed familiarity in that secondary, someone they could trust. And Bill's legend of the game, I mentioned it, is Eric Moulds. And then Tom Brady, 21 years ago today, actually, while we're filming this on January 19th, was the tuck rule.
Yes.
I remember being at Canisius College, watching that game on the big screen
Okay.
in the upper deck area.
They still did make the kick, but yes, it is a tuck roll game.
That's true. Okay, I'm finally done talking about the Buffalo Bills. I hardly let you talk, but no, you've been great. I actually really enjoy having you on the show. So we'll have to have you remotely sometime.
I appreciate it. I was a virgin. You were gentle. Thank you guys.
I use a little lube. You're good.
But my favorite part of the show has finally hit us.
Yes, we're going to talk about the Josh Allen cards. And you know what? Since you're the guest, I'll let you go first.
All right. I'm not as big of a Josh Allen card aficionado like you are, good sir. But due to my brother, Dwayne, we've been searching for this mosaic Josh Allen card, the Stain Window series.
Yep.
And it's one of 500. Now the $500,000 card that everyone knows about, that is this exact card, but with a signature.
So it's a stained glass with an auto?
Yes.
Damn.
That's the $585,000 version. This one still goes for a pretty penny, but it's just beautiful. It reminds me of a peacock. And I know it's a little shimmery.
They have a new
gorgeous.
version for this year. 2022 has one, and it's actually window pane glasses.
Yeah.
It's sweet. This is the 2021 version.
It's gorgeous.
And I had to get it. I love it. I'm glad you appreciate it as well.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
And now here, we're going to show My City. The quarterbacks around the league have one of these, and My City for Josh Allen is obviously buff. It's one of 1,130. It's still, I mean, you'll think 1,130 are made, but that's worldwide. That's it. Ever. There won't be any more.
Oh.
And I think it's really cool. I love the color combination. I love the white on white. Now, the Bills this weekend, I normally go over the jersey combo. They are blue on blue. And I like that for at home. Some people don't. They think it's a little too much blue, or they prefer the clean white. I think blue is sweet. I just want the red helmets back. I want these freaking helmets back. You don't like that?
Blue helmets with the blue and blue socks.
Blue.
Oh, are you kidding me?
All blue everything?
Absolutely, just like the song. I'm blue and I'm a Bills fan and I love that song.
Oh my God. Oh, well, normally we do a Greg outro for Bills Mafia, but you guys jump through tables, be safe, don't break your tailbone, don't get injured. He truly hurt himself. That table was cheaper than the other ones we had used.
Yeah.
He went right through it, didn't break much of his fall, right on the concrete. Last year and previous years when we've done it, it was in my backyard on grass. You watched him bounce off, and he's like he's gonna go, yeah, but he's actually going, oh, like it hurt his soul.
He'll be back next week.
He will.
He's gonna ice up. We'll see you next week.
But thank you, Big Cat, for being on the show
I
here.
appreciate it, Scott. Thank you so much.
I loved playing ball with you. I love talking about baseball, football, and sports in general. And I think you did great. This is your first time ever being live on camera like this, so appreciate it. This has been episode 34 of The House That Alan Built. I'm Scott Kinmartin. With me this week is...
Big Cat Kris Reyes.
Oh, yeah. We'll see you next time. Let's go!
Buffalo!
Woo! I just broke that tripod.
Kenneth Dorsey.
So do you actually hate him, or what?
Oh, yeah. I don't think if you paid Sean Payton $30 million to be our offensive coordinator, we'd have a Super Bowl next year.
Oh, yeah. Sean Payton's going to be a head coach. He's asking for 20 to 25 million.
Listen, I can move back. Chair.
Yeah, you can.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Oh, that's way better. we bounced at the same time.
I'm ready, coach.
Here we go. Fix this a little bit. Oh, you know what? With Greg, I do this.
Ow. What, did you get one?
Yeah, you've got some. No, dude, I pay attention to that. I pluck that shit if I get it. You got a whole.
That's gonna hurt. I'm gonna grab your whole hair, yank on it. You missed that. I take care of it.
Would you do that for Greg too? Plug it.
I'm sure you would if he bends over far enough. I said, quit slouching. Pull his whole hair. Oh, the last time you slouched on my camera.
All right, I'm gonna come up with my score. 31-28 Bills.
Wow.
That's high scoring, so you're probably going to go super low. And don't say it until we're live then.
Yeah.
Good job. You remembered. You're invited back.
We'll see.
We'll see about that. Ladies and gentlemen.
I wish I could read this. I'd take my glasses off.
Oh, I didn't think about the reflection on your glasses.
Yeah.
Well,
You just don't know about me. You just don't know about me. Another you in a minute.
big cat, huh? Well, what happens if you become a little cat? What if you shed 70 pounds?
I'll still be big in
Are you
places.
going to be purr in places? Is that what you're... I purr down here. I'm a lion.
I shave it that way, too.
Oh, man.
Nutsacks just have a nice, long mane. But it's real tight behind the ears.
Simba. We just call him.
I do hold it up like that, too. All right, fire away. I'm going to try to keep up with you.
All right. Now, this is the only thing you got to be careful of.
Loose
the rocking.
tits, sink ships.
Loose tits, sink ships. All right. This is our main mic.
Yep.
This is our backup, so you can have a mic on your side, and I'll have a mic slightly towards the middle. Okay?
Fair enough.
Welcome to another... Okay. I got to say, welcome back.
Yes. All right, let's go right back to this
Streaks?
game.
Yeah.
This game.
So the Chiefs are... the Bengals
Hold
are
on, that's
a
next
streak.
week, Scott.
I know.
That's next
Let's
week.
hope we get there. You should not, as a defensive end, have 60 touchdowns. 60 touchdowns. Hold on.
No, he never would.
He does have one. He has one.
In 60 games?
No,
that's not even correct.
No.
Where are we going?
Okay.
Yeah, this is
Wobbly. It's because I have to lock it. I don't have it
pop,
locked.
drop, and lock it.
Pop, drop, and lock it.
You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. Josh. Got me feeling like I'm who? Josh. Yeah. Josh Allen.